Hi everybody, thanks for clicking TreatsTVw, and I'm your host Chan. So happy fall everybody. This is one of my favorite times of year. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all back to back, all feel good holidays. You get to change out your linen, you're changing out your table settings, you're changing out your bathroom linens. I'm that girl. And, you know, for all those who get together on the holidays, you get to see family for holidays and all of that stuff. I'm very much that person with that is a feel-good time of year. Summer and all of that, most people like it. I enjoy it, but I enjoy the layers, the looks, the wrapping up, you know, and whatever you want to put. Like, it's just a whole different type of style of everything. Dress, house, you're dressing up your house for holidays. You know, you don't dress up your house in the summer except for what? Spring, Easter, you're putting out bunnies and bunny flags. Like, you dress up your house for the last two holidays. Like, I enjoy that whole thing. So happy fall to everyone. I hope you're as happy as I am, right? Listen, I had a whole list of stuff that I needed to blog about, and that's not going to happen. Because I realized that, yes, there are way more clicks, a lot more viewing when my blogs are smaller. But y'all got to bear with me, people. You're not the only one watching. I'm happy to say that. But you got to be fair to other people. There are things that I have to, you know, touch on. There are things that I have to discuss. I probably could not do them all in one setting, but sometimes also I'm living my life. I got to do it all, catch it, you know, get it when you can get it. So I got to sit down, shoot it all at that one time, and then go back to regular life. So sometimes it's going to be a half-hour blog. Sometimes it's going to be 10 minutes. You know, if you subscribe, like, share, repost, whatever it is that you want to do, you will always know when I upload it. So you don't have to, you can be prepared and you can see how long a time frame is. I watch this on Sunday. I'll catch up at this time, or I'm on my commute and I can watch it now. I'm in the laundromat and I can watch it now. I'm washing clothes and the house is quiet, or whatever it is. And that way you can prepare yourself, but you got to work with me. Sometimes it's going to be a half-hour show. It just is what it is. So in this month review, week review, whatever you want to call it, we have a PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, soldier, ex-military person, jump the gate at the White House, run across the lawn and touch the doorknob. So there were a lot of mixed feelings and mixed reviews about the whole, everything of it. Him being able to get that far, you know, running across the lawn, where were the sharpshooters, where were the dogs, him touching the doorknob. It was like a whole rigmarole. And of course, I still see a different aspect of things, and that's why you click sometimes, right? Because we got to agree to disagree sometimes. Your view is not the only view out here. I don't think they should have shot this man, because he really didn't do anything that warranted shooting. And you have to know some of your laws and what they can and can't. He posed no threat. He posed no threat. The lady in the vehicle posed a threat. That's vehicular manslaughter. That's all these other things where she could hurt herself and other people. It's a different thing. He's running across the lawn. He knew there were sharpshooters up there. He's ex-military. He knew a lot. But he had other things going on. He had his own personal battles. So I'm glad the White House and the people who are there for a reason, and that's why we're not there or you're not there, are smart enough to make quick, informed, responsible decisions. And I was very happy that they didn't shoot this man. If they had let the dogs out, I wouldn't have been so mad. It would have been like a forewarning to others, like, don't attempt it. And him touching the doorknob, I really don't have a problem with it, because I see it as all a welcome. Like, I don't know what to say to people going, you know, you got these people going off on the radio stations. You got all these other negative, nasty, you know, casters, like, flipping out about this man and the president being weak. And our president gets more criticism than any other president. Because when Reagan was tearing us up and Bush was tearing us up, nobody said nothing. Excuse me. And the people who were hurting the most were doing the most outcrying, and nobody cared. But these people are offended by everything that he does, down to his suit. And his salute, we'll get to that. But I'm glad they didn't hurt that man, because it also shows our White House having a little bit of compassion. Here's what a lot of people don't understand about our president and how he lined up his staff, what he says he expects from people, and how the head leads, the body follows. We don't have right now the government who is attacking us, beating us down, stopping. He made sure he cared for people as far as healthcare, this, that, whatever. It brings a nation a little more together as far as like loving for each other and you lead by example. He's trying to lead by example. I might be quiet, but my hand is strong. And that it's hard for them to even, they might see this in any other person, but they refuse to see that in our president. I'm glad to see it in our White House, because I think that would have been catastrophic to his image to hurt someone who was already hurting. And this man served his country. Though they didn't know that at the time. But could you imagine the fallout if they had found out later? He served his country, and this is why I always had a problem with my son going off to war, any man. If it's not necessary. And I didn't see us having any major threats in the past couple of years that we needed to be at war. A lot of our men or service members, but I always say men, this will be shocking, I feel lead the household. Some people might not see me that way and knowing that I think that way, but I feel the man leads the household. We need our men and our young men and, all of that stuff. Someone has to defend the country. But we're getting them back. And for my urban community, if you've ever seen Dead Presidents, you've seen, they try to give you a glimpse of what post-traumatic stress disorder can be like. He was waking up, he was having dreams of the carnage, he was snapping out on his woman, he didn't know where he was at sometimes, trying to function, can't get a job, and you just served your country, they make a minimum wage. It's a lot to digest after you served your country and come back and sometimes be disrespected or not cared for at all. There are a lot of homeless vets out here. It's very hard to watch. And they're coming back with stuff. They're bringing it to their families. Like, it's a lot that goes with that. So when you take all of that in and account for, he was touched, and I felt very bad for him. He was off a little bit. He was gone. He wasn't off before he left. They give up a lot to serve us, and I'm grateful for it. If they did anything to that man other than what they did, that could have been a fiasco. And they're looking for a reason, and our president didn't give them one. So that was that on the man running across the lawn. And then we got to climate change. Yeah. So this week, I forgot the statistics because I didn't write it down, people. I want to say it was 31,000 people or 71,000. Look it up. I provide the information. You decide what to do with it. Turned out in New York City, down by the Wall Street area for climate change. And that might not mean anything to you if you're young. If you are an ex-military person, teacher, fireman, policeman, you get certain benefits of getting a home. It means something to you. It means something to all the older people. Young people, it should mean something to you too. Because if you look, you had Katrina and you had Sandy. You might not want to believe that it has anything to do with it. Just take your time. Noah and the Ark had nothing to do with global warming, but they also say it didn't really happen. How about that? You're here to know that Katrina and Hurricane Sandy really happened. You're here to see all of the fallout and the repercussions and the deaths. There were 968 deaths, I think, in Katrina. That you get to find out and hear all of the carnage. You've seen it for yourself. So there's a difference between reading something that you might not be able to decipher whether it's true or not, or living through it. Climate change is an issue. And even if you don't believe it, just recycle a little bit. Just do it because there's nothing wrong with throwing plastics over here, some paper over here, and getting solar panels for all those people who get benefits. And, and if you get solar panels and you already have your home, teachers, policemen, firemen, and ex-military, right, with the VA loans and all that other stuff. If you already have your home, solar paneling helps a lot. You actually might benefit from it because they store the energy and then you can sell it back to them. There's a whole lot of programs. There's a whole lot of, what are these called? Not kickbacks. Discounts. I can't think of, I don't know why I'm stuck right now. Discounts for getting the solar paneling. It may be costly in the beginning, but it becomes cost effective later. You know, this might fly over some people's head because, you know, of course I'm only worrying about my next bag. But for those who already have homes or in a different age bracket, or if you're pursuing a home, it might be something for you to consider. And if I'm speaking in that manner, that's probably everybody from 30 on, right? But if you're not 30 and we're just talking about the environment and you're realizing that LA is starting to get cold, or that, you know, you live in Manhattan and the river looks a little higher, or Katrina, that water came over, you know, certain breaks, levees that they didn't think, you know, would happen. It's just something to consider because your cousin lives in Louisiana and, you know, they didn't have a place to live. Or you know what it's like now when people have to come from down south to stay with people they've never known because they were displaced by weather. There are brush fires in California. If you can't relate to nothing else and you're in sunny California and you're under 30, look at your weather. It's changing. It's a reason that those brush fires are starting. It's the environment. And the environment breaks down to the climate. Now that can go across every generation. I related to you on whichever level you're on, just as something to think about. But they got together, Wall Street area, blocked it up. They walked up. The police cut them off at a certain point. They rallied back down towards Battery Park. The numbers were phenomenal. They did it peacefully. They did it as they should. They didn't actually give a whole lot of heads up, with the exception of probably their permits. And it was a great turnout. And sometimes, again, I say stand for something or fall for everything. But if you just do a minute thing, recycle. That's it. No, I'm not going to buy an electric car because it always scares me. Like my electricity is going to run out and maybe my gas. I don't know. I got to work through that. But make some type of small change. And that's the best, you know, that's the most I'm probably trying to relay as a message. But be aware of climate change. There was a rally, and that just happened in the last weekend. You know, for that, I'm happy. I'm happy that people are saying something. Like, it starts down there. And this is just not what we're willing to tolerate anymore, where the world is suffering. We can only start at home, and everybody else will have to do their own work, India and, you know, China and this and that. But we have to start here. So that's what the message was in that. And then we had a hazing scandal. Guess you could call it a scandal. A hazing situation. So you have this Miss America, and they have the pageant. The pageant is an issue all in itself. But hey, run with it. If you like it, I love it. Still watching pageants, and you want to see who's Miss America and Mrs. USA and all that other stuff. You can't be pretty dumb. You can't. So if you don't have anything to contribute to, you know, your whole purpose of running for these things and all of that, like, what are you running from? Just to show how much you can do and how much prettier you are than the other 50 women who were there. I don't know. But one of the ladies had been kicked out of college, you know, before, for a hazing incident. So everyone, you know, she had divulged that information, and everyone was, you know, in a little tizzy about it and so shocked and things like that. And I just didn't get where they were shocked at. You didn't. What about her said that she wouldn't be part of it? Number one. Secondly, hazing hasn't went anywhere. I keep trying to express, don't shut your eyes off. You know, just because it doesn't affect you. I see a lot of people that are like that. Like, you know, the things that you deal with, I don't have to deal with it. I've never experienced any of that. Or maybe it's just y'all or all this other stuff. I see these different type of personalities all the time, from people who have possibly made it, you know, at least what they think has made it, people who, you know, whatever different walks of life. And it's because it doesn't relate to them or they've never experienced it. It's like, you know, just, if you just don't bother it, it won't bother. So foolish. Hazing affects a lot of people. And it goes on way more than you know. I'm not on the organization and institutions thing, but anytime that there's usually that structure and there are people who have been there longer, they all want to know that you'll fall in line to fit them. That might sound like some type of rhetoric, but it's not. It's just a fact. And it keeps coming out as a fact. It came out again. We're the seniors, prettier than you. We've passed through all of these tests of the 5 size, sink or think, whatever. And, you know, how much are you going to pledge to us, your loyalty? And we are superior to you. If you don't do this, you don't make it. It is what it is. The stories and the things, and that goes for, listen, this goes across, this is so far, this is from the Masons on. It is what it is. People are going to get offended. We got to agree to disagree. But it is what it is. If I'm lying that Masons, Eastern Stars, sororities, fraternities, and all of this other stuff had, listen, there are jobs. The police department has hazing. I worked at a company one time, had hazing, and it's the little things that they want to see what you're going to, you know, you get put in a position. Is this person going to tell? Or which one out of the newbies is going to tell? It's so many different things. Like I worked at an electric company one time. They used to clap the thing to see if the person's going to run or if you really built for all of this and all of that. Didn't have to clap because once you know your job, you're like, oh, yo, they was playing. It's so many different levels, and it always breaks down to what this lady was saying. I was watching the news, and they were discussing it, and it broke down to bullying. It is just what it is. Anytime that there are a certain type of one clique of group people, now you put that anywhere, in work, in schools, in whatever it is. Once there is a clique of people, a group, let me use that word because clique seems to fall on deaf ears. A group of people, and that same group is always together all the time, and they function alike, and they look alike, and they talk, you know, once they are all together, and they decide, well, you know, let's see, well, I'm still, the judgment is still out on this person. And once you go through all of that foolishness and what they have to do to be part of that group, you have just begun a hazing process. Now, it's levels to the hazing process, but yes, it still is what it is. So now you're shocked because she's a mean girl. Deal with it. Even if she evolved, let's hope that she did. Let's hope that she saw the error of her ways because she was young and she was in college. But for all of those of you who are past that stage and you're still at work trying to figure out if you like the new girl who's typing and, you know, if you're going to invite her to the such and such's baby shower, but they don't really know her too much, but I'm going to bring her with me maybe and all that other stuff. Or can you go get us the, you know, the beers, or can you bring the such and such? And then all of that is pretty much the same thing. So you might need to check if you're a mean girl. But hazing is what it is. Look it up. And it's probably getting ready to fall under the Bullying Act. So you probably need to be careful. Follow up from one of the posts I did on Scotland. So Scotland voted to stay part of Europe. I was a little disappointed, but I wasn't shocked. Because again, even though this might not make any sense to any of you, it's for those who know what I'm speaking of or who follow some of their politics. And that's what I guess it'll be, politics talk, right? So Scotland had voted. They stayed part of the Europe thing. But I think once they figure out their money situation, and that is they were going to have to find their own different, you know, type of money. And they just weren't ready for that yet, to be independent in that sense. Once they figure out their money thing, I think the next time it's time to vote, they'll probably go ahead and go independent. But I was very glad to see the vote it was so close for Scotland becoming its own country again. I always like things when they're in the original state, if it works. And Scotland, once you read the history and all that stuff, it worked. It worked. It was fine the way it was. So I was very pumped up about that to see how they prospered again by themselves. Guess we gotta wait. You know, we gotta watch next vote, and that's for my political talk. I guess everything else is out the window. That's not what you're here for, right? And watching The View. What's up, Scorpion Show? I watch a Scorpion Show. If you are watching this, look it up on YouTube. If you're one of those web, you know, you're a web person, like you like web shows like this. It's a group, two guys, and sometimes he has two other people in there that are watching it, called The Scorpion Show. They are hilarious. Like, first of all, I like my people, but they're funny. Like straight like that. Them two, it's like, no disrespect, y'all, if y'all watching it, it's like the Black Abbott and Costello. Like, it's a straight man and it's a funny man. Yo, they're hilarious. I love it. So they say, you know, watch The View, and I did, you know, I watch it every now and then when I could, but I watched The View, and yeah, they got it kind of, the lineup is nice. We got Whoopi, Rosie O'Donnell, Rosie Perez, and this other lady. I can't think of her name for some reason. I don't know. Nicole something. A new lineup. It kind of works. I'm glad always to see Whoopi keep representing. That's the best way I know how to put it. Rosie represents her group. I still feel partial to the next woman, Rosie, who represents my age range. And Nicole, I feel like she's the rationale on the group. She'll be the rationale, the logic. She'll be Spock. So I feel like it's a good mix. It's a good mix. And I enjoyed it. So I'm watching that, and Whoopi says, you can't judge anyone. Okay, you can't judge anyone of... Wait, hold on one second. Okay, you can't judge anyone by one thing or one action. They always evolve. Look it up. You know, go on YouTube, find the statement. I'm probably, you know, giving it to you out of context because I can't read what I wrote, right? I didn't put it in my phone, so I can't read what I wrote. But I got the gist of what she was saying. You can't judge a person on any one action. You have to wait because they almost always certainly evolve. And when she said it, I was like, wow, do they even know how prophetic like that statement was? But that's why I like her. Because like she said, she has done things and she can't be grouped or put into that whole, like, this is my whole life. Her life has different levels, volumes, and all of that, and she most certainly evolved. And with that, thanks Scorpion Show, because out of everything they said, that's what I took from her. She always drops a gem, y'all, and she does it funny. She always drops a gem. So you might want to, you know, like they said, turn on The View. Who knew, right? And I guess I'll catch y'all next week, because that's my list. I'm chopping everything else that's on there off. See you next week, y'all.